Ndaba Mandela, welcome to the Voice of America.
Thank you very much.
When I say Nelson Mandela, give me 3 words.
Grandfather, courageous, fearless.
Can you elaborate a little more?
Courageous and fearless, obviously they go together. But, I mean, that is the man who went against the system, who sacrificed his family, sacrificed his own life for the greater good of his people. So for me, even when they isolated him in his later years as an old man to try and get him to denounce his political party and his fellow comrades, and they tried to, persuade him with luxury and all kinds of things, he never waned. He always stayed focused on the dream that was at hand.
Nelson Mandela was one of the most visionary and influential political figures that the world has seen. You are his grandson, and you were the first child to grow up under his roof after he came out of prison. What was it like?
A bit overwhelming because I come from, I was growing up in the ghetto with my parents, and it was a broken home by any standards. Moving into this big house with security, drivers, so many staff. And the only 2 people that were really, it was me and him, and then my cousin Rochelle. Me and my grandfather really didn't talk much. The only conversation we had was really, it revolved around my education, what I needed for school, and how was my report card, and the occasional scolding if my room was in a mess.
Interesting, because in your book, Going to the Mountain, I read about the time when he kicked you out because you lost, for the second time, you lost your jersey.
Yes.
That was an example of the type of disciplinarian he was, right?
Exactly. You think it is harsh, but he actually never let me sleep outside.
Yes.
But he made sure that, he was serious. So he kind of exiled me outside until it got dark, basically.
Yes.
And, as harsh as it was, I never lost a jersey, so it was a very effective method.
The title of the book is Going to the Mountain, and it's a rite of passage for young men in your tribe.
Yes.
Now,
right.
something that I found interesting was the fact that you write in the book, your grandfather showed you that no ritual could make a boy a man. What do you mean by that?
Well, basically, there's a point where I didn't perform well at school. And my grandfather stopped me going to the bush. He is a person that really values education.
Absolutely.
Because it was something that was stripped away from them.
Yes.
And even the college and the schools they went to, they were not on the same level as the schools that were being attended by white kids. You understand? So that for him was a sort of a measuring litmus test to see whether you're ready to become a man or not, whether you are taking care of your responsibilities or not.
Yes.
And that can be judged from a young age. You don't have to wait to an adult.
And education was very important to him.
It was so important that he sent my parents to university at the age of 45 and decided to take me in, because he felt that it doesn't matter how old you are, you need education. And that was 4 or 5 years after Nelson Mandela came out of prison. And he always said that it's important for you to get a degree. I didn't know what degree, and he never ever pushed me to say, I want you to study politics or law or, civil rights or anything like that. He just said, you need to have a degree. That is the most important thing.
Listen, there is an entire young generation of South Africans and even youth around the world that were born after Mandela came out of prison. They may not really understand the role that he played in the struggle. To what extent do you see them relating to his legacy?
That is the very reason why I wrote this book. I actually wanted young people to be able to see Nelson Mandela not as this huge, great icon and this president of a country, but as a grandfather. Because young people can all relate to having a grandparent. Lessons from my grandfather. And that way, I purposefully targeted the younger audience because I want the younger audience to understand the intrinsic value of Nelson Mandela and why is he important for the world. And of course, it's a 100-year celebration.
Absolutely.
And this is my way of paying tribute to a great leader, but my granddad.
And 100 years, indeed, in July marks the birthday. So what do you see as the common legacy that people should take from his life, or perhaps that people are taking on their daily lives?
This is the first and foremost thing that they should take from Nelson Mandela, is what kind of leader was he? He was a man with a vision. He was a man who was dedicated and believed in his cause. A man who had integrity, humility. A man who dived into public service. A leader is there to understand his constituency and serve them the best way he can. You are there to be the voice and the face of those who cannot talk for themselves or act for themselves. That is what we must take away from this. Nelson Mandela, the leader. What kind of leadership? These are the characteristics that are important to be a leader.